This week, we're breaking down PlayStation's State of Play. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer. With me is a man who is almost definitely buying all the announced 30th anniversary hardware from PlayStation. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, shout out to your wallet.
Well, hold on,
Uh-oh.
because the State of Play made this a little more interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
Yeah, now I'm questioning my life decisions. Um, my future decisions, my decisions that I may or may not have made by the time this podcast is out.
Yeah.
Um, the Pearlescent hardware that's coming out
Mm-hmm.
that was shown in the State of Play that we're about to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
That teal one, it's
Mm-hmm.
got me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can just buy those covers.
But then it's gonna look stupid on a 30th anniversary PS5.
Well, yeah, but you'd put the covers, you'd pull the covers, the 30th anniversary covers off,
Right.
and
But aren't
put on
they
the teal. So you can like whatever mood you're in, or you can like monthly swap them out so you can appreciate both.
But isn't like the middle of the I don't know. I just don't think it's gonna look good with like the parts that you can't swap out. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, I hear you.
I don't know. I don't even have the money for the 30th anniversary, so who cares? It's not gonna happen. We'll try again on January 23rd.
What is the significance of January 23rd?
That's when the teal comes out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know how those. I guess I don't know how those work if they're going to release the consoles, because I feel like in the past they haven't done this, but are they going to release the consoles with those just like included, or are they going to you just buy plates, you know?
It's my understanding that they're gonna sell like well, I don't know, I guess. Now I'm reading the PlayStation blog thing.
Because I feel like it's always replaceable plates that are released with these colorways, but I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that also I think they've only done one set of additional colorways, maybe two. So, but like the Spider-Man had, I think, if I remember correctly, fancy plates.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in a way, I kind of like that they do it where they just release the plate because I already have a console. Why would I want?
Yeah, it
In
does
years
seem
past, you always had to buy like a Spider-Man themed PS4, and it's like, well, damn, I already have a PS4.
it does seem like it's just the plates.
Yeah.
Remember when the PS4 was going to do that with just like the hard drive covers? I think they maybe released one variation of it.
I actually don't remember that.
Oh, yeah, that was that was supposed to be a whole thing. I think in 2014, uh they were going to release like those covers for like different games, like The Last of Us. The Last of Us may have had one. They made a handful of them, but then
Yeah.
they gave up on it pretty quick.
Huh. No, because that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not
Yeah,
realize
there was that.
they planned that.
What does the 30th anniversary? I might be able to do this. Let's see. Because if the 30th anniversary PlayStation is just black in the middle, then this will totally work.
I think it is, but I can't remember if like on the front where like the power button and that stuff is. I can't remember.
No, it is gray.
Ooh.
Which I don't know. Maybe it's fine.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not
I,
bad.
I'm not the I I'm not the person to ask about this. I'm terrible when it comes to colors clashing, and I think one
If it were
thing
like a
looks
matte
good.
green, it would look gorgeous.
Ooh, ooh. Yeah, I think the phrasing of teal is bold. It's not teal in my
Yeah,
eyes, but
it's more of like June bug green.
I also didn't think the pearl was pearl color. I feel like pearl to me has like maybe a little pink in it, and the pearl is just ice white,
Yeah.
glacier white, if you will.
Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll just get a controller. Maybe I won't get anything.
No, I wrote it here in the intro. You're going to buy all you. I know it. You're going to buy the pro. You're going to buy just the digital
The
edition.
Pro? Oh, we're not even talking about the
You're going to
Pro.
buy the PlayStation Portal. You're going to buy just all because they look PS1 ish.
Yeah.
I know you,
Actually,
Michael.
I almost bought the 20th. I guess it would have been the 20th anniversary PS4
hmm
when they did that. I had it in my cart. I was ready to go, but I already had a PS4 at that point.
See, that's definitely the trouble with it.
Isn't it amazing that I could have been at one point I was a college student with already a PS4
That is
and I was
amazing.
ready to buy the exact same PS4 just with a different colorway, and now I'm 28. I have a job. I have a master's degree. I don't have a PS5, and I'm like,
I can't.
I don't really know if I can afford this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that just shows that you're much more of an adult now, right? With like you have your priorities straight. Whereas
I don't know that I do.
when you're a dumb idiot college kid, you can just piss money away in the wind on a second PS4 because there are no priorities.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I guess the difference was a mortgage, car payment.
happiness. What did you say? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. That was.
To be clear, I was saying you were happier then than now.
Sure. Oh, then than now. Yes, absolutely.
uh, that's good stuff. Well, we'll talk more about the state of play in a few, but first, I want to hear about your week playing games. What did you get up to?
That's a great question.
It's not. It's the same question I ask every single week. You give me too much credit.
I know, but I typically think about it beforehand. And it's like it's hard for me to even tell you what I did yesterday, and I just did not think about it this week. Let's see. Did we play any Switch games? No.
Good answer. Good answer.
Did I tell you I played Flight Sim last week? I
You
did.
did. You were flying helicopters, and flying a helicopter in that game is
Yep.
hard.
Yep.
And
Yeah. Okay.
I bought you a flight stick.
Oh, did you? That's
No,
very exciting.
I didn't.
Oh, well, then you'll be happy to hear that I probably just played college football all week.
Okay.
But to my credit, I also barely played that game. Like I think I played it last night, and that was it.
Yeah. One of those busier weeks. Not enough time for the foolish gaming.
Yeah. As will this week probably be as well.
So do you just want me to write in a while college football for next week?
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Okay.
If I play something else, you'll probably hear about it because I usually like message you, like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, I'm doing it! I'm
Yeah.
playing a video game."
That is true. It is funny that if if I don't know ahead of time of at least like one or two things, then
Mhm.
it's safe to assume that yeah, it was maybe just Madden or college football that was played.
You know what I did play?
Oh, no, what?
Sorry, I just saw my iPod light up in front of me. Oh, I
Oh, a
played
little
Flappy Bird.
little Flappy Bird.
Yeah, and I've got a 2048 notification right now. This
Uh,
has come back and play to get the 2048 title. wonder how old that notification is.
13 years.
I'm just gonna leave it there. I'll add value when I decide to sell this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That
play Flappy Bird right now,
okay.
and you can tell me about what you played this week.
All right. Let's see. I played a lot more Dave the Diver. Still love that game. Still very good. Still would highly recommend. What else? That was a majority of what I played. That actually might be like the main and really the
You
only
got
thing
you got something else that you
I
played.
played. I do have, yes, I actually have two other things. So the thing that I think you're talking about is that I have fallen into possession of a PlayStation VR,
Yeah.
a PSVR 1 to be clear. Because I like the adult Mike is just can't find the money or reason really for me to buy a PSVR 2. But I'm really
Because they're
excited
fun.
to what's that?
I said because they're fun.
Yeah, but I don't have enough experience with it to like justify spending what is it,
Yeah.
$400 for the PSVR 2?
Is that all it is?
Something like that. Which I think like you can find a PSVR for like $100. And like to me that feels like a, and you probably find it cheaper too, to be clear. But like if you were to buy it like refurbished through like uh Amazon or whatever, it's probably going to be roughly 100, maybe a little less. Um, and to me, that feels like, all right, I can maybe throw $100 at something that could end up just being like somewhat of a novelty party tricky type thing, but
Mm.
could also be a ton of fun and be like this next like leap into a totally different experience. So really excited about it. I did get it all hooked up, which took me too long, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and figuring out like the space and where to fucking keep the stuff.
Did you
But
have the camera already, or did you get a camera with it?
came with it.
Nice.
Yeah. Uh yeah, all of it worked and everything, which was good. And then basically got in to the whatever the welcome room, whatever the VR basically tutorial type game that they have. And yeah, popped a trophy on that to send to you,
Yeah.
and that was it. I haven't turned it back on yet.
I'll have to find some game recommendations for you. They go on sale like all the time. Like basically whenever there's a PlayStation sale.
I think I heard Flappy Bird in the background there for 2
Did ya?
seconds.
You would have heard me dying. Now you can probably hear the actual. Oh, I just died. I haven't beaten my best score from high school.
I'm sorry,
But,
you were saying VR games go on sale fairly
Yeah,
regularly.
they basically whenever there's a sale, and they're usually pretty deeply discounted.
Yeah. I mean, I know certain PSVR 2 games have been put on like the PlayStation Plus catalog for like the higher tiers. And so if you're playing the PS5 version of a game, you have to have PSVR 2. But if you're playing the PS4 version, which not all of them have both, but if you're playing the PS4 version, you can just play it with your PSVR. And I know both Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator. There's only like 10 VR games on the service right now, but Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator are both on there, and it's like both the PS4 and the PS5 version. So it's like two of the games, 2 of the 10. There might be one other one too, I think actually. So 3 of the 10 games I can actually download and play with my PSVR, which is nice. To kind of have that, because that's always the worst part about like new system, right? Is like the fact of like, okay, now I need to buy like fucking 5 games, and that's gonna run me how much? Which thankfully, like you said, VR it's been like games have been out for a while. They'll go on sale regularly, so it's not going to be that much of a monetary like investment, but nonetheless.
Well, I'm excited for you. And I also forgot about Vacation Simulator. I don't think I ever played that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I feel like those two. Well, I know Job Simulator. You had me like try out one of the times, and like
Hmm.
that like that game like feels like good. Like it's a
That
good
was
like
like the peak VR like demo experience.
exactly. And I feel like Vacation Simulator is going to be like a lot of the same. So yeah. And the fun thing is that because again these games are on uh the PlayStation Plus service. Um, the whole 100 platinums that I'm going for means that I could include one of those. So I plan when we're gonna do like a big stream for when we're gonna pop the 100th, and I plan to just fully play through. I'll probably do Job Simulator. Um,
Okay.
as a part of that stream, we're gonna do start to finish and like start to platinum Job Simulator for that stream. So I feel like that would be fun and uh, obnoxious.
I can't wait.
Yeah, very excited. Um, the only other game that I did want to touch on is that I did, in fact, start the Plucky Squire, and so I kind of wanted to do a quick little like first impressions. I think there's 10 chapters in the game. I believe I just finished chapter 4. Um, moving very quickly through it, and I was moving very quickly through, I should say, on Saturday, and I actually had all intentions of probably just beating it. But once I got to getting close to that like halfway mark, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put it down for a little bit, and then I picked up Dave the Diver, and I like did not put it down for the rest of the day. So wouldn't be surprised if I have it done by next week. But first impressions, it's a lot of fun. The mechanics of the games and like the puzzles and stuff like that um, are pretty neat, and how you like interact with the environments and stuff. It's a pretty neat mechanic. And granted, I've only gotten to do this like just a little bit because I think you unlock the ability in chapter 3 to like leave the book and then come back into the book. Um, but that's how you like go from like a 2D world to a 3D world, and that's just a cool mechanic as well. And the graphics and the style when you're in the 3D world is so cool. It looks so amazing. And then, you know, the the kind of like classic art style that you have when you're like inside the book and in the 2D world is also really good. Game looks fantastic. Plays really well so far. I know a lot of people have said that there are some glitches, but I haven't found any just yet. Um, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and it's one of those games that feels like it's definitely going to be fairly short. I would imagine that again. I'm probably about halfway through, and I probably put 2 hours into it, maybe 3. I don't think 3. I think I probably only put about 2 hours into it thus far, and yeah, so I feel like it's like one of those games that anybody can kind of pick up. You can play through it from start to finish fairly quick. It's not a huge time suck, but I think you can have a lot of fun with it too. So far, I would recommend, but I'll give like an updated thoughts once I've actually finished it.
Looking forward to it. Was this a PlayStation Collection game? Sorry if you said that.
It did get put on the service day one, yeah.
Okay.
So, but I mean, this was the game that I was probably most excited for. It was like one of my like most anticipated, I think, last uh Summer Games Fest, I feel like, or like maybe early on this year there was a showcase of some kind that had it. I know it was like fairly recent, but also it had been a minute since we had seen anything when it finally did, like when I finally realized, oh, this is releasing soon. Um, but yeah, so I mean, I was always planning on getting it. It was just Nice little bonus that I got put on the service so that I could immediately play it day one without even giving it a second thought.
I had to look up this game because I honestly couldn't remember what it was, and I completely forgot about this game and how awesome it looked.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that you're liking it.
I mean, I did like 2 boss battles, or like, air quotes boss battles. And it's really neat because like you so the first one is just like it's punch out basically.
Interesting.
Um and that's just how you that's the mechanic of fighting the first boss. And then the second boss, like, you canonically for the story, you're working for getting like this like special item. You get the item, and then like it's a different mini game gameplay style fighting the second boss and like utilizing the new item you had just gotten. Um just really neat how they like switched that stuff up and did those things. And again, like the whole game takes place that you're like in a storybook. So it's like you're flipping the pages each time you like move on to the next area. And so then like when you're like thinking about it from that lens, um you can like kind of like understand like why they did some of the like stylistic things that they did, and it just
Mhm.
helps it like all like come together. But yeah, I'm happy it's getting a lot of like very positive reviews. I would definitely agree with those and would recommend.
Very nice.
All right, let's talk about the state of play. So real quick before we start, I just want to read to you. I had somebody at work ask me what my expectations were, what my wish list was for the state of play. So I'm going to read you out. We knew that there were going to be updates about, I think, 20 games from the jump. I think that was like put out somewhere. And so I put together a wish list of 10 things that I expected or was
And I guess your
predicting.
number one.
Yeah.
Okay. I think your number one was Stellar Blade photo mode.
No, it was not. It
Okay.
was not. But man, Gooners everywhere. Go wild. Do you want to try and guess any other ones?
no, that was it. That's
Okay.
what I figured you were. I figured that was gonna be 1 through 10.
All right. So here we go. Number one, Horizon Zero Dawn remake. Which, bear with me, I conflate remake and remaster a lot. Um, okay, number two, Days Gone remake. Number three, The Last of Us Part One remake remastered. Number four, God of War 2018 remake. Number five, Uncharted 5. Number six, Bloodborne delisted from the PlayStation Store. Number seven, Astrobot DLC, and then in parentheses I put real. Number 8, Concord 2, Electric Boogaloo. Number 9, Ghost of Tsushima 2. And then number 10, Live Sacrifice of Daxter from Jack and Daxter. I obviously was, I was feeling myself with the jokes and the goofs and stuff like that. Very happy that two of my things were actually right, and probably the two things that I most expected to be right. Three things I think were technically right. Um, Again, remake, remaster.
Mhm.
I goofed on my wording. And a fourth one was mentioned. So I mean, kind of a solid mix of jokes and then reality.
Yeah. Sometimes reality is a joke.
Sometimes, and we can
This just goes to show it.
yeah, and we can dive right into it. First off, what were your thoughts on the showcase or the show as a whole?
Um, I I'm sure it was great for the right audience.
Okay.
Um, I frankly didn't care about the whole thing until they showed, and I don't know what order you want to go in, so um, I don't want to get ahead of it, but the last announcement obviously was a big one.
Yeah.
Um, I was happy to see, and honestly kind of surprised. There was like 2 or 3 PSVR 2 games.
Yeah.
One of which was Hitman: World of Assassination, which I've been seeing a lot of praise for. Um, depending on how you look at it, so like Hitman 1 through 3, you can play in PSVR if you have the game. So honestly, we're talking about your PSVR experience. If you have that game, you can already play it in VR,
Ooh.
which I've never done, but seems pretty cool. But it's just like a controller experience.
Yeah.
And World of Assassination is Hitman. I don't remember if it's 1 through 3 or just one, but um, it actually brings in like some VR controls.
Yeah.
uh, and people say it's fine. But like I think people are seeing around it just because they're playing Hitman in VR,
Hmm.
so that's cool. So that was exciting. What else was there? There was a Metro VR game, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was just excited to see that they haven't completely given up the ghost there.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely assumed if they wouldn't have shown anything, that would have been a really bad look if they wouldn't have had
Yeah.
anything that was VR related. That Metro VR game to me looks like that has the look and feel of like a peak VR experience on like the PlayStation 5,
Hmm.
that really feels like it has this like great narrative, like built around it and everything. So, and then, obviously guns and resources and all of that stuff and actually like feeling like you're in that metro world um
Yeah.
feels like yeah that has the makings of being again like pretty peak uh game there for anybody who has a VR. um yeah, I think I definitely hear you in terms of like the show as a whole. I would say it was for me, it was pretty solid. I think there were plenty of games that I'm looking forward to and excited for, and then there were certain announcements that I was like, okay, all right. Um, as always, you have the fun of trying to decipher if a game is a an actual like only releasing on PlayStation or only releasing on
Hmm.
Xbox, right, or Switch or whatever, right? You always have that fun. So love that Xbox is always on top of it, and like immediately they tweeted out a graphic that says if you look closely, you'll notice these games are coming to Xbox, and it's all the games that were announced during the state of play that will also be coming to Xbox. I love that. I get that it's like supposed to be like kind of cheeky, but I think it's like really a smart move to kind of ensure that people that your base especially understands that like don't worry these games are also going to be coming here. So if you happen to be watching that state of play and you thought that game looked really great and you were worried that oh no it's only going to PlayStation, it will still be making it to the console you have in your house. So I like and appreciate that they do that because I always get confused.
I, one thing I picked up on, I didn't see that Xbox tweet, but the Lego Horizon,
Hmm.
they didn't show the Nintendo Switch logo
Which we've
at the end.
yeah, which we've talked about this and in the
Doesn't mean I
past.
remember.
What's that?
I said, doesn't mean I remember.
Well, I think we kind of came to the conclusion where it's like when it comes down to the actual, like, it's a Nintendo show, it's a PlayStation show, it's an Xbox show, like they don't show the other companies during it. I think we kind of came to that conclusion, like at the end of the day. Yeah, I mean that makes sense, right? Like, why would you put Xbox branding in your PlayStation showcase? Why would you put Nintendo branding in your
Yeah.
PlayStation showcase? So, I think that's probably why, and not that all of a sudden it's not going to be going to Switch. But that's always the trouble. Then is like, again, like, does it only show PlayStation at the end because it's only going to PlayStation? It's like probably not, but maybe, but probably not. And so that's why I again love that that Xbox did a little, hey, don't know why, but just randomly wanted to tell you guys that these games are in fact going to be coming to Xbox. That's just good stuff. Um, I thought the kickoff of the show was great. I love that Astrobot is basically becoming like the de facto mascot of PlayStation now.
Yeah.
Um, and they're doing free DLC for it for the game, and it sounds like they have plans for more Astrobot content. It's really exciting. I really hope that that again the combination of Astrobot having a ton of success will while Concord unfortunately had a like crash out. I really hope is like a signal to PlayStation for like how they should focus, and move forward. Not to say that they shouldn't ever try and do multiplayer or anything like that ever again, but just like really understanding what people are going to really like go for. Um, but yeah, I
Not
thought.
to
Go ahead.
go ahead, sorry.
No, no,
I'm
please.
gonna get off topic, but I saw you brought up Concord, and I saw somebody tweet and be like, "How could you all be celebrating Sony losing $40 billion or whatever, $4 billion, whatever it was? I don't remember what the denomination, but they're basically saying, how can you be celebrating Sony losing all this money?" And it's just like, well, because they didn't fucking listen to what any of their customers wanted, so there are consequences for that. And right now, it's public humiliation.
Yeah, I mean, uh, right, exactly. I also don't think that Concord is like inherently a sign of like PlayStation's doomed. I think like it's certainly something that you don't want to become a pattern. But as of right
Mm,
now, like there's no reason for me currently. Like we'll see when Marathon releases, right? Or like what they end up going forward with there and what all that looks like. Those types of things before I'm gonna fully be like, yeah, PlayStation just fucked themselves beyond any reasonable like they can't make it up, like it's one game, very bad luck. They didn't listen to people, but I mean, there was other stuff during the show alone that, like, again, Astrobot, the final announcement, um, that for me, I think are like, okay, no, they still know to some degree. Like, if you're using the one bad decision of Concord to just assume that every single decision PlayStation makes is going to be a bad decision, that's kind of
yeah, it's
dumb.
ludicrous.
Yeah. Um, let's see. I thought that Midnight Walk game, that was like claymation. That's just like one of those. I mean, it looked really creepy and gross,
Yeah.
but that's just like one of those game announcements that I always just sit there and like I really appreciate like the work that went into like making that style and like really leaning into it and like all that stuff, right? Because it's just so refreshing to see something that's like so different from, what we're normally kind of just given. Um, so yeah, I thought that game looked really interesting and definitely grabs your attention by just like being so different.
Mhm.
Um, Kind of to jump ahead, that the turn-based JRPG, uh, Fantasian Neo Dimension or Fantasian Neo Dimension. Like that was another one that had like the landscapes that you're walking around and stuff, or like um actual like miniatures that were built, and stuff like that. Like that's just like so interesting, so different. That game also had another feature that sounded really cool. I'd have to like actually see it in practice, but like you can stockpile encounters. So if you like run into a couple of enemies, you can like save it and then like fight multiple encounters at once. Which sounds like a really like interesting idea, especially for like a turn-based style game. So I thought that was pretty neat. Um, I also feel like, and this is not good for you. I will call that out. But I feel like we're getting a lot of these like mega fantasy RPGs or like medieval RPGs.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously we had Baldur's Gate last year. Dragon's Dogma came out earlier this year.
In
Um,
this entire fucking generation.
It's yeah, like it's being leaned into. The Archage Chronicles game looks to be like a giant epic, and then obviously the Dragon Age game, which I think looks really good. Um, yeah. Fans of that genre are definitely eating well, with some just massive, massive games. Um, that yeah, like I mean, you can spend months on these types of games, and it's great to see. Obviously, there's also the Xbox One, Avowed, right? Like that's probably
Yeah.
going to fit into that same like niche. And they
People seem
look
to be pretty
good.
excited about that game.
What's that?
I said people seem to be pretty excited about that game.
Avowed.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like yeah, it's kind of like you said, it's kind of this generation, right? Like these I mean, I guess that every generation has had like a lot of these like big fantasy epics, right? Like Dragon Age has like spanned multiple generations. Obviously, you have your like Skyrims and stuff like that, and so, but it just feels like right now in this window, we've gotten some like really big ones that have like released to very favorable reviews and like stuff I'm hearing about Dragon Age from early like what's the word, hands-on stuff, early
Hmm.
previews of it. People are saying that like it feels good, it plays good, and um, then when you mix in that like that again, just like that overarching like big story to play through, I love it. One thing that you brought up, the Hitman game, and the only thing I could think of the entire time was, aren't we supposed to get a James Bond game from those people?
Oh yeah.
Am I crazy? It is like what is it, IOI or
IO Interactive, yeah.
right? They're supposed to be making a James Bond game. Am I crazy?
Yeah. And we haven't seen anything from it. That was one of my big I think Summer Games Fest things I wanted to see.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I could think about that entire time.
They're probably gonna drop it to do a fantasy game. 'Cause God forbid that I get a game that I like this generation.
uh, I mean, what about Star Wars Outlaws?
Yeah, that's true.
that's got micro in on it. And what about Metal Gear Solid Delta?
I've I've already played that game
Yeah, but what if you
two
play
different times.
what if you play it now and when it's all pretty and better
It was already
mechanics?
pretty. It was pretty on the PS2.
Yeah, pretty for the PS2 is what you meant to say.
Well, here's my conundrum with that statement, Spencer. We just saw a game in the state of play that is like 64-bit aesthetic. I forget what game it was. I'm trying to
hmm
find it in the list.
It
But there
was
was a game that basically, God,
was it Fear the Spotlight, the Blumhouse?
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're getting into 60 frame, 64-bit art, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, and you're
That game actually kind of piqued my interest a little. I thought that was kind of cool.
yeah, yeah. That the Blumhouse games that like we got like sneak peeks for. I can't remember if this was one of them at Summer Games Fest, but I'm definitely like keeping an eye out on some of the stuff that
Oh yeah.
they were planning. Some of that stuff looks good, and I agree. This one's probably too spoopy for me, but I could maybe be convinced to watch somebody play it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
excited about those. And just how different their games look.
yeah, yeah. I hear you. What about let's see. What about Dynasty Warriors Origins? That's not a game for you.
Probably not. Was that the Legend of Zelda looking game?
It's like the well, I think if anything it would be like Hyrule Warriors, but I don't know if that's the same or not. But it's like the
Hmm.
one
They
versus a
showed a
thousand samurai type.
oh, maybe.
um I mean I thought the Hell is Us game looks really cool. I thought
There's
it was
just so much going on.
I thought it
Like,
was Resident Evil at first.
okay.
Um it's not. You were saying, sorry. So much going on.
Yeah, and they started showing that game. I was like, oh, seems interesting, and I don't know. It feels like a lot. That game, I'm willing to like give a shot and like look for a little more
Yeah.
detail in because definitely different. Like different in terms of, I would say, creativity. It's I think the same RPG you're gonna get out of pretty much any game this generation, but
Sure.
now you get to fly up on a drone and sword drop on people or whatever you call those things.
Yeah, I mean people, right? They're like the inner demons of people.
Is that what they're?
Yeah, something like that. We were we were the monsters all along, sort of thing. I thought
That's
that
a,
game like cinematically looked
yeah,
very impressive. Very impressive. That's literally
yeah.
why I thought it was Resident Evil at first. I was just like these kind of like feel like Resident Evil like character models and stuff like that. Is this are they like announcing the next Resident Evil game? They were not. Just totally different game. And that was like one especially where I was like, is this a PlayStation exclusive? I missed who was like making it. It is not. It is coming to Xbox, so fear not. Let's see. A couple of like I would say like good remasters of like very old games. You had like the Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, 1 and 2 are getting a remaster. Lunar Star, like those fit the Dragon Quest like mindset for me, where it's like these games came out on like the PS1, um, kind of like finding a way to bring them forward a bit to current generation hardware is like I would say a big positive for games. I will say it does become slightly concerning that like we always just seemingly are getting like half of the announcements at shows are just remasters or remakes that are coming. So I don't know if that's starting to maybe fill me with like a little bit of dread because like, are we actually just, can we get a lot more new games instead? But I will say again that I feel like games that are like 25 years old are like kind of like prime candidates for a move like this. So these I'll say I'm okay with. What about Horizon remaster? What are your thoughts on that?
When did Horizon come out? 2018.
20 2017 or 2018 probably, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying not to be entirely negative. It just feels like it hasn't been that long since that game came out, but I guess they already remastered Spider-Man, right? When they did Miles Morales.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just interesting. I don't understand. Here's what I don't understand. They have the PS5 Pro coming out, which they said has kind of native upscaling ability.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think Xbox is getting enough credit for like not needing to come out with remasters for every single one of their fucking first party IPs
Yep.
because the Xbox can just make it look better inherently.
And if the PS5 Pro is like technically going to do that, then kind of what's the like, is this necessary?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the PS5 can't apparently. So
Right.
uh,
I mean, I really waffle on things like this. Like I kind of go back and forth because in my eyes, like it's effectively like The Last of Us Part 1, which is the remake of The Last of Us, not to be confused with The Last of Us Remastered, which came out right when the PS4 launched.
mhm.
Um, the way I feel about these remasters or Last of Us Part 1, I understand is a remake, but like bringing these games forward to the new console where a sequel, uh, of the game lives, I don't inherently hate. Um, but to me, it's a game for somebody who got a PS5 and has never played the Horizon games, or got a PS5 and hasn't played the Last of Us games. And it's like, boom. Well, you can get The Last of Us Part 1 that feels like The Last of Us Part 2, and then play The Last of Us Part 2, and the games are going to feel like the same. Whereas if you played The Last of Us Remastered, even, and then played The Last of Us Part 2, like very different. Very, very different. Uh, Kind of like the same deal with like Spider-Man, like just pushing it forward to the next console. Sure, fine, whatever. Is it necessary? No, not at all. Do I feel like it's maybe a waste of time and resources? Probably. But here we are.
Yeah.
And like they're doing the whole like $10 upgrade. It's like it's fine, whatever. Slightly annoying. Uh but like it's smart enough that people who really like Horizon, which I will say Horizon Zero Dawn is kind of a meh game. Like it's got good bones. Horizon Forbidden West is like a much better game. Is it like they took everything that they could have possibly learned from Horizon Zero Dawn and put it into Forbidden West. So like it's not like you're like remastering this like classic, this like amazing experience. It's kind of again a whatever game in my eyes. Good, sure, but like it's no God of War It's no The Last of Us. It's no Ghost of Tsushima. Like, so that's kind of where I net out on it.
Now you get to be bored in 60 frames.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't doubt it'll look a little bit better, but like how much better, you know? That's kind of where I also net
I mean,
out.
I have been trying to give Horizon a chance over the past couple of years, and like I have no gripe about playing it on PS4. Like
Right.
it plays and looks fine.
Yep. Exactly.
It's not the graphics that are the issue with that game.
Yeah. 100%.
If they
100%.
would remaster the story where they like nuke it and build just like a completely different fucking game, sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I know more people than I think I should who really really like that game. So whatever. It's got an audience.
I mean, again, is it like, am I like happy that PlayStation stuck with it? Yes. Sure.
Would I rather see Killzone? Probably.
Oof. Oof. But I mean, take that up with, you know, the Concord decision.
Yeah.
But I hear you, because Gorilla.
Yep.
And it's, you know, honestly, it's a similar argument I have about like Days Gone. Not to bring up that fucking game, but like there are decent bones there. That game is worse than Horizon for me, for sure. But there are decent bones there that if Sony would have decided to stick with it, or if PlayStation would have decided to stick with it and make a sequel, I have no doubts that it would have been a similar upgrade, which is massive, mind you, from Zero Dawn to Forbidden West. I feel like the same thing could have happened for Days Gone if they wanted to do that. I don't care that they didn't do that. Just like I wouldn't have cared if they would have given up on Zero Dawn. But you can see the benefit to sticking with it and like what you're able to do if you do stick with it. Anyway, enough about Horizon. So Lego Horizon is also a game.
It is.
I'm actually excited about that.
You,
I like I think I hope other IPs like kind of like work in tandem with Lego to kind of like take a massive action adventure and just kind of like make it just a bit or a lot more casual. And I'm excited to see how it's pulled off.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how well this does because I mean this could be a huge niche for the Lego developers. Like are all like first party IPs going to for any company, right? Are they going to want a Lego version of their game just to kind of introduce people? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I'm excited to play it on the Switch, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, again, the decision for it to be Horizon as the IP, I'm kind of like, really? But also, sure.
And I think we talked about this before, but like there was a couple Horizon Lego sets, like physical Lego sets,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years ago, and I thought that was a strange collaboration, but
I guess it does kind of like work though when you think about it from like the machines and stuff like that. Like they do kind of lend nicely to
yeah.
building like little miniatures of and stuff. So I guess.
Yeah.
But like also I sit here and it's like, no, maybe Horizon is the right one to do it with because I'm sitting here trying to think of like a God of War Lego game would be would feel like I think so ridiculous, but also it's also kind of exactly like perfect maybe for it. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, yeah, I'm just excited to see like how it's done, and yeah, I would honestly love to see like potentially other first party IPs from various companies. I'm not just saying PlayStation's lineup.
Mhm.
I think it would be pretty cool. A Hellblade Lego game.
Yeah. Yeah, let's introduce a younger audience to schizophrenia as early as possible.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yep.
All right, the final announcement of the state of play, the one that I'm definitely most excited for, and that I was very excited from the second that it started opening. Then I checked myself and thought it was maybe just Rise of the Ronin because I can't remember if that game came out yet or not.
Mm.
And then realized that it was in fact the thing that I thought it was to start. Kind of. I thought it was Ghost of Tsushima 2, and in some ways it is. We're getting a new Ghost game. This one is called Ghost of Yotai, I believe. Yotai.
That's the way I would say it.
And it's gonna follow a new ghost. This game, I think it's set like 300 years after the first game. So to anybody who's like, I want to know what happened with Jin, he's probably dead. If I had to assume. Also, I've seen some, like, as you can imagine, seen some people acting like it is a travesty that they are moving on from a character. We've seen it happen with The Last of Us, and just there's plenty of games. And like if you play Ghost of Tsushima, they wrap up the story. So anybody who sits there and goes, I just feel like they could have done more with that character, they should probably replay the game.
Yeah.
Not to say that you can't feel like a connection to that character and whatnot, but this really sets up, in my eyes, that they're likely planning on trying to do some sort of think like Assassin's Creed style, where every game is hopefully a like focusing on just a new main character, and the story is all wrapped up. I feel like probably in maybe a more satisfying way sometimes than Assassin's Creed does. But yeah, like they wrap it all up in one game, and then give it a couple of years, and Ghost of Blank releases, and it's set in a slightly different time period, and it focuses on a different ghost of that time period. I love that idea, so I really do hope that is the move that they're like going with here. And yeah, I'm just so incredibly hyped.
Yeah, this is I've been talking recently again about getting a PS5, and it's like, well, why am I going to do it? Am I getting it just to play Spider-Man 2? And then they show this, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a little more leverage into me wanting to make this decision. Um,
Have you
yeah, this
played Ghost of Tsushima yet?
no, but I have it.
Would recommend.
I know, I want to play it. I just, you know, I need to just tell myself I'm going to sit down and play it in a week, and not like start it and then leave it like I do every other game. I have commitment issues. Um, I really like this series. I think they're going to do a good job with it. I don't think it's going to be one of those ones where they just beat the hell out of it. I
Hmm.
think they're pretty good at knowing like when to start and stop these things, and I was really excited to see this. I think it should be interesting. Um, and just like the aesthetic of like hundred hundreds of year old Japan is just something else.
Yeah.
So I need to play Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm still very excited for this, even if I don't.
Yeah, this is and it's they announced that it's going to be coming out in 2025, which
Wow.
was great, right? Like so they really like held off on giving us any information about this game until boom, you have a year. Because I'm assuming it'll come out, probably around this time next year, if I
Yeah.
had to guess.
Well,
I don't think it'll be an early release, but could be wrong.
they can't battle with GTA.
Dude, I know. Ugh, that's gonna be tough. I really hope it comes out roughly a month before GTA to give me enough time. Um, but yeah, like I saw some people were concerned because they think the Assassin's Creed model kind of sucks, but I think the Assassin's Creed model only feels bad because they churn out too many games, or like did churn out too many games there for a time, right? Where it was like
Yeah.
basically every year um a new Assassin's Creed game was out. And so they were just running through the the like lineup, the opportunities. That's not really the word I'm looking for, but you get what I'm saying. Whereas again, like feel like this will be a little bit more fleshed out, a lot more intentional with how they do the story and the entire arc and stuff like that. And yeah,
Yeah, and I mean it's been 5 years by the time it comes out.
yep, exactly.
Like that's not a bad interval.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I would probably want it to be maybe a little bit quicker, but this is just current gaming. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like it would be nice if we could get like two per generation, but just not possible anymore. But yeah. So yeah, overall for me, the entire state of play was like it was good. You know, maybe like a C plus B minus rating somewhere in there. But the Ghost of Yotai definitely um maybe pulls that up a bit more. It was a very good like ending. Well, technically it wasn't the ending. No, it was the ending. Right? That came after Mark Cerny came back out. When Mark Cerny came out, I was like, oh,
What's this nerd want?
yeah. Somebody joked, it might have been Jeff Grubb, or no, it was Daniel Ahmad, was like, oh my God, Sony's already remastered the PS5 Pro announcement.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's good stuff. But yeah. Anything else you wanted to say about the state of play?
No, no, I think we covered it.
Alrighty. Well, then that'll do it for this episode of the Good Game Bad Game podcast. As always, if you could leave us a rating or review wherever you do listen to the podcast, that would be greatly appreciated. Share the podcast with a friend. And other than that, we'll talk to you next week.